Well, good morning. Today's a day when we have a lot of guests on our show, and I hope you find them interesting. Captain Ed Bartlett is joining us from Bartlett Maritime. He and I met just on the phone so far, but we hope to get together very soon. Captain, how are you?
We're great this morning. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. And you're going to be coming up for a roundtable, I believe it's next Thursday at the Grand Resort.
Yes. The Ohio Growth Association has an event from 11:30 to 2:30 next Thursday, and myself and our corporate vice president of vice president of corporate development, Jacqueline O'Brien, will be joining me, and we'll be speaking at that event.
All right. Let's bring Jacqueline on, too. And Jacqueline is your corporate vice president, I believe. Jacqueline, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Thank you very much. And you're on with Ed. You've met Ed, I think.
I certainly have.
To both of you, the question that I get, I don't know who wants to take it, but people say, why are you going to repair ships in Lordstown when it's nowhere near the water? Ed, you want to take that?
Sure. The U.S. Navy, at the end of the Cold War, had a series of naval shipyards around the country, of course, all in the ocean. And there was this process called BRAC, Base Reduction and Realignment Commission or something, where they closed a number of military bases that weren't needed after the Cold War.
Okay.
That ended the so-called peace dividend. Unfortunately, they closed too many shipyards. And the nuclear-powered ships, submarines, and aircraft carriers that are maintained in the remaining 4 shipyards located in New Hampshire, Virginia, Bremerton, Washington, and Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Those 4 shipyards don't have the capacity or the capability to maintain all the nuclear-powered ships that we have. As a result, we've got a great backlog of ships that are not operational, that should be, that can't go to sea because they're past due for maintenance. So somebody has to do something to improve the maintenance capability of these shipyards.
Okay. All right, Jacqueline, can you add anything to that?
I think Ed got it.
Yeah. All right. So you're saying that it's not so this stuff that ends up in Lordstown could actually come from Hawaii? Is that the point you're making, Ed?
Absolutely right. When a ship goes into overhaul, the ship is opened up and major pieces of equipment come off, and it is sent to somewhere, either a back shop at the shipyard or to a central location or to some vendor to be repaired. And the Navy's desire here is to accelerate that repair process for the equipment that comes off the ships. And so the objective was a geographically central location within the nation that has good connectivity in terms of rail, roads, airports, and that can service all 4 of these naval shipyards and act as a center of excellence to repair this equipment and get it back to the shipyards for reinstallation on an accelerated schedule, thereby shortening the shipyard period. And it has another benefit as well, that the workers that work in the shops at the shipyard, where these 4 shipyards have a shortage of skilled trades people, skilled trades employees at the shipyards. And so by relieving them of having to work on this equipment in the back shops and doing it in a central location where we do have an abundance of skilled trades people, like Lordstown, that can put those people back on the ships and further accelerate the overhaul work to try to catch up with the demand.
All right, we're talking
Lordstown.
Go ahead.
Lordstown is a great location because it's centrally located. Interstate 76, Interstate 80 connect to all 3 of the shipyards on the continental United States, and then Interstate 80 ends up in Oakland, California, at the other end, and that's where the ships go to Hawaii from there. So you need a ship anywhere you got to go.
And then some rail service coming into Lordstown too, I'm assuming.
Absolutely right. We got both CSX and Norfolk Southern, because some of this equipment, like, for instance, the propeller shaft on a ship. Now, you think about the drive shaft on your car, maybe is like an inch or inch and a half in diameter. The propeller shaft on a ship is like 2 feet in diameter, okay? And it's long and it's very heavy. You can't ship that on the road because of its weight. It has to go by rail. And these shafts have to be inspected, because if you have a crack and you keep operating it, you could break the shaft. That's a very bad thing when a ship breaking the shaft.
So,
every
again,
time we go into dry dock,
Jacqueline, why wouldn't you do this where you have the dry dock then? Wouldn't that be more efficient?
So if you ask me, so I think like Ed mentioned, we've got great logistics in Lordstown. You have an incredibly competent, skilled trades workforce. And if you look at the Navy shipyards, the public yards, they've got a shortage of skilled trades. The other thing is they have limited kind of valuable real estate right there on, in the shipyards.
Mm-hmm.
So getting these components that are done in the back office away in kind of like a centralized location where you've got the great logistics, you've got this great skilled trades. In addition to that, you've also got some really good natural resources when it comes to utilities, water, other things like that. So centrally locating it is just kind of a win-win.
Yeah, well, I mean, believe me, I'm just asking these questions because I want to see it happen. But Ed, are you already a real thing? Are you already doing this kind of work? And if not, what's the learning curve on this?
well, actually, our company was formed to do this project. So our company was formed in 2019, and we're not actually doing production work now. The good news is that our senior staff, like Jacqueline and all the rest of our senior staff, which you can see on our website at bartlettmaritime.com,
Yep.
is very experienced in this kind of work, and we know exactly what we're going to do. And in fact, we're working with the Navy. We just made a submittal to them last week that told them we could actually start production work in Lordstown as early as maybe January of 2023, even as we build this new facility that we want to build, which is at the ideal capacity and capability to do everything. We can start on a limited basis as early as 6 or 7 or 8 months from now.
So would you actually have to construct a factory, or would you use something that's already there?
For the interim work, we would be looking for a facility in the area to allow us to have an isolated area that we can do the production work in as we get the main facility. And we're looking at building as much as 1 million square foot facility, purpose built, with all the capabilities and all the features, which could include, in fact, the Navy's talking about foundries. They're talking about forge facilities. They're talking about a whole assortment of machining, electronic shop, hydraulic shop, all sorts of capabilities in this facility. And that's what we're looking at, to build a brand new, maybe 1 million square foot facility in Lordstown to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're building that, which will take a couple years to build, kind of like the TJX distribution center took a couple years to get built and up and running over on the other side of Interstate 80 there, the Turnpike. We're looking to have a smaller facility where we can actually get started and get our workforce together and get going on this, in the near term.
And Ed,
The need is so urgent.
Yeah. Ed, are you capitalized already, or is the federal government, have they promised you this work? How does that work to raise capital to build a factory?
Our capital plan is a public-private partnership between ourselves, a state bonding program called Industrial Revenue Bonds, and then the federal government. So the facility, the main new facility, the big facility, will actually be owned by the Navy at the end of the day, 30 years from now. But in the interim, we will build it, we will operate it on their behalf, and they'll buy it over a 30-year period. That's our capital plan, which means we have ready access to all the capital we need to do this.
Yeah. Jacqueline, what does the Navy say about this project? I'm sure you've been in touch with them, and what are their thoughts?
Yeah, I'll say it's been a continual discussion. As Ed points out, I think the need is there. It's clearly recognized, and, discussions continue. Ed, do you want to add?
Well, they requested additional information, and we just made that submittal last Thursday. And now we're planning to go down and have another meeting with them to talk about how we can accelerate it and why this is the right plan for them to engage with. We've been talking to the Navy at every level, from the working level, people that are directly responsible for these things, and also all the way up to the Secretary of the Navy's office.
And so,
as you may know, Congressman Ryan, Congresswoman Chantel Brown, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, Senator Portman, and Senator Brown, the 5 key people in this region sent a letter to the Secretary of the Navy suggesting to him that this, in fact, was the right thing to do. And so there's a lot of support, a lot of congressional support, and we're just waiting for the Navy to get their plan lined up. They're a big bureaucracy, and big bureaucracies don't move as fast as you want them to.
But Ed, you're saying that there's a need. Tell me that need again. You touched on it at the top of the show by saying that we have ships that are not operable at this present time. How big is that need? Can you describe it?
We've got about just under 50 attack submarines in the United States Navy. For the last decade, it's been going on that long, we've had an average of 3 to 4 ships that have been not operational at any one time, waiting on maintenance or in delayed maintenance. And on the other side of it, on the aircraft carrier side, which are also nuclear powered, we've actually got 2 aircraft carriers in refueling right now. Normally, we only have 1. The work is so slow and so delayed that the George Washington has been supposed to have a 4-year refueling, started in 2017. It's going to end up being maybe almost 5.5 to 6 years before it gets out, whenever it gets done. So we've got reduced number of aircraft carriers. We only have 11 of them. We've got a reduced number of attack submarines, and they're the ships that are most feared by China. And we're just not getting the work done. It's just so frustrating to me, having been involved with this my entire career, that I just had to go do something about this.
So this is something you're doing every day. Jacqueline, you guys have a real company, right? And you are talking to the Navy and telling them that you can do this. Where do you put this on a scale of 1 to 10 that it's going to get done, Jacqueline?
It has to get done. There is no other viable solution right now on the table. And just look at the world events that are going on right now. If you look at the Navy's proposed budget, the number one item on there is the new Columbia-class SSBN, the ballistic nuclear submarine. It's recognized, it's essential to national security, and it's got to get done.
So Ed, how about yourself? Where do you? I think what Jacqueline is saying, that somewhere, somehow, the Navy is going to have someone that can fix these ships and these aircraft carriers, and it's going to have to get done, whether it's in Lordstown or somewhere else. So is that your thoughts too?
Absolutely. We're committed to doing this in Lordstown, these components. And I'll tell you that there is no other. The thing about our plan, the 2 things about our plan that stand out that everybody should recognize are unique to Ohio and to Lordstown is, number 1, we have the exact right place with regard to logistics. We have, number 2, we have the skilled trades workforce available here that is not available anywhere else in the country. And number 3, this is the only plan that's been proposed which the Navy can actually afford within their very limited and constrained budget right now. We took those as our objectives going in, develop a plan they could afford, that would answer the mail with regard to workforce, and would get the job done. And that's what we've delivered. And so we can't, at the end of the day, this is going to happen. We're committed to doing it in Lordstown, and that's where we are.
All right. And Ed, what can the public do here to ensure something like this? Because if you have these jobs coming in, they're going to be highly skilled jobs, and they're going to be something that's going to really help the economy here and help the Youngstown area grow. What do you need from the general public here, if anything?
These are going to be family supporting career jobs. We're partnered with the AFL-CIO, so they're going to be union jobs. And what everybody should do is they should call Congress. They should call, Congressman Ryan. He's a very supporter of us. But even for other areas outside the district, Congressman Ryan's district, keep letting Congress know. And you can also send a letter to the Secretary of the Navy at 2000 Navy Pentagon, Washington, D.C., and just let yourself be known that this is something that, the area wants, the area embraces, and that we're ready to go. We keep telling them the response we've gotten from the local area in Lordstown and also over in Lorraine has been overwhelming. We think the people are great, and we just need to keep expressing that to the Navy to make sure they understand, yes, this is going to happen. It's going to be real. We've got the community support.
All right, part two of the show, we're going to talk about Lorraine next week, and we'll have you back for part two of our program. Jacqueline, it was great to meet you, Vice President of Bartlett Maritime. Ed, who is Executive Director of Bartlett Maritime. Appreciate you guys coming on, and we certainly hope you get this thing done.
Thanks, Dan.
Nice to have you on. All right, program. We now are going to do a segment here with Captain Edward Bartlett Jr., who is in Warren today, and he's going to make a presentation about Bartlett Maritime. And you've heard me talk about it last week. There's too many submarines that are parked waiting delays and maintenance and causing missed operations. Too many basically ships out there that are not seaworthy. And Captain Ed, you hope to solve that problem and also make some jobs here in Youngstown, right? In Lordstown.
Absolutely, Dan. Absolutely. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Creating jobs and supporting the fleet.
So you got a rally in Lorraine on Monday, which I promoted. What's that all about?
Well, it's actually a rally being held by the AFL-CIO, sponsored by their Metal Trades Department, which is their shipbuilding, ship repair workers, also the Ohio AFL-CIO, and then the local trades in Lorraine. And it's going to highlight national security issues, the maritime highway, and creating jobs in Ohio. And the union's message is the union's rally, not ours, is going to be that national security starts in Ohio and jobs creation starts in Ohio. We're going to be joined by Senator Sherrod Brown, as well as Congressman Tim Ryan, and Mayor Hill from Lordstown, Mayor Bradley from Lorraine, and a host of union officials. And we'll have a retired Navy admiral speaking about the importance of this with regard to national security and supporting the fleet, getting these ships capable of serving at all times.
All right. So, Captain, you're going to make a presentation today at the roundtable at the Grand Resort. What are you going to tell people, just basically so our audience knows what you're all about?
Well, I'm going to talk about the path that we've gone from recognizing this problem in the fall of 2018. The General Accountability Office in Washington issued a report which was news to me. It was something that had been going on for a while, and it started us working and building our team and building a group of collaborating companies and putting this all together. And it's led us to this point where we've definitively now made the proposal to the Navy to build a facility in Lordstown, maybe 1 million square feet, to do component repair, and also to build a facility over in Lorraine to support the submarine and actually aircraft carrier shipbuilding industries, which are behind schedule right now. So the two biggest priorities the Navy has with regard to the nuclear powered fleet is maintaining the ships that are in service, and that's going to be supported by the Lordstown side of the business, doing the component repairs for ships in overhaul to accelerate their overhauls. And then over on the Lorraine side, it will be supporting the construction side for new ships to get them into the fleet as well. The industrial base is really suffering after having a real dwell for 20 plus years of peace dividend period. And we're taking the lead to get out in front of this thing and to support the fleet, support the national security, and to create jobs and economic activity here in Ohio.
All right, well, I tell you what, I mean, there are so many good things going on here in Ohio. What's the contingency? Now, you've put together, first of all, folks, if you want to know about Bartlett Maritime, just go to their website, and they have an extensive website. You've built that out. What is the contingencies as to whether or not the jobs actually happen in Lorraine and Lordstown?
Well, it's up to the Navy as to whether or not they want to proceed. And we've had, in fact, I was in Washington just yesterday speaking with another influential congressman, associate of Congressman Ryan. But we were talking to the Navy earlier this week and working on setting up our next round of meetings with them. They recently came out with a request for information on the ability to do this component repair work, which is the Lordstown side of what we're trying to do. And we sent in our response for that. And we sent it in early because we've done all the heavy homework on our own, and we're waiting for the Navy now to basically digest everything, the input they've gotten, and we got to get in there and have the next round of meetings with them. And once they give it a go, we're ready to start going. Our team is ready to go. We're raring to go. We've invested a lot of money into develop this project, and we've got a great group of leaders. We've got a great group of partners, and we think we've got a compelling story of why this should be done right here in the Mahoning Valley and then over in the Lorain County area.
So, Ed, the Navy knows they need this, right? You've talked. I'm convinced that when you talked to me last week, that they are aware of the problem. They have too many ships that are not serviceable, so they're going to have this work done one way or another. And
absolutely.
I'm assuming you have competitors that would also like to have this work.
Well, that's the thing. We actually took the lead in this, and we held a mirror up to the Navy and said, "Look, Mr. Navy, this is a bad situation. Here's a solution, and then we can implement this right now." And there's a law in federal law called Competition and Contracting Act that requires all procurements of the federal government to be competed except for some exceptions. And one of those exceptions is if a company on their own initiative, without being requested by anybody, develops an innovative and unique solution to an existing problem that the government has and proposes that solution, which is then determined to be meritorious, then that company can be awarded a contract under something called a non-compete, a sole source contract. That's what we did. We followed all those rules, and we've certainly got a unique and innovative approach to this, doing this here in Ohio with our three-way public-private partnership. The other side of it is the Defense Production Act, which we heard about a lot during the COVID period when they were using the Defense Production Act to accelerate production of masks and breathing equipment and whatever, the ventilators. That also has been applied to this program because it's so far behind.
Yeah.
So that also justifies the sole source award. So we're waiting for the bureaucracy, which is notoriously slow, to move. And once they move, no one else has emerged with a solution to the problem that is answers the bell like ours does. The thing about ours that's most intriguing to the Navy is the two key points is, number one, we've got an available workforce here in Ohio, and number two, this is affordable within the Navy's currently constrained budget, and I don't think anybody else can match those two key characteristics.
So you're very, very confident in what you're doing. Now, something comes to mind here. You've built out an extensive website. You have a presence on YouTube. You're making presentations in Washington. You're attending rallies. How are you keeping the lights on right now? It looks like it's expensive in what you've already done.
Well, I've been fortunate in my career. Since I left active duty, I made a bunch of money for a number of companies that I work for. And I'm here to tell you that my wife sees our retirement savings dwindling fast. But I've personally invested my personal, funds into this, and we've developed it. And our team is very personally invested in this as well.
Let me ask you, why you? I mean, why would the Navy go with you? I mean, obviously you've convinced me that, you've got the website presence, you've got, you want to do this, but do you have any expertise in doing this kind of thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I designed the submarine that the Navy's building now, the Virginia class. I led the conceptual design for that. I sailed submarines before that when I was in active duty during the Cold War. After I left the submarine design business, I saved a business for Eaton Corporation that was failed, that made defense electronics for them. And, then I converted it and sold it for Eaton. They wanted to dispose of it. I sold it at a big profit for them to a company called DRS Technologies and built a business to make electric propulsion systems for ships.
Well, so you actually
I've been in this for 35 years.
You talk their language. So when you're talking to the people out there that are making the decision from the U.S. Navy, they know that you have the expertise and the experience.
Myself, I do, but even more importantly, more impressively, my team. I've got a couple of retired Navy captains. I've got a retired Navy admiral on my board. I've got a retired Navy rear admiral on my board that used to be the head procurement guy for all of the Navy submarines. The most impressive thing about our approach is not me, it's my team. And the most impressive thing I've done in my career, I think, actually, is put this team together. This is a team of superstars.
Wow.
And this is a hard way. It'd be hard for me to envision the Navy not taking advantage of what we're presenting to them.
Well, I don't want to give the entire thing away. I want to hear your presentation. I'm going to come up and hear you today, and I'll report back to my audience tomorrow. But we wish you nothing but the best. And folks, if you're hearing this, one of the questions people say, why Lordstown? And Ed's explained that last week, that there's about 4 naval yards around the country that, they can actually dry dock ships and they can take the parts off. And they have to ship these things for work on them, machine work and all of that stuff. And Lordstown is a great place to do that. And you could do it anywhere, but you're saying that Lordstown is uniquely outfitted for what you want to do, correct?
We have the people, we have the connections, we have the logistics, we have the low-cost utilities, the access to utilities. We've got a friendly local government environment. We've got all the right factors to make this happen right here in the Mahoning Valley.
All right. Listen, I look forward to seeing your presentation. I'll see you a little bit after lunch.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks for having me, Dan.
My pleasure. All right. That's Ed Bartlett. Boy, let's hope that happens. Shipyard repair in Lordstown, Ohio. That sound good to you? All right. It's a Rivers program here on 570 WKBN. I got a stack of stuff like this, but I don't know how to get to